Conference week is something that isn't taken lightly at Pitt State. It's a big deal even though we're at a level right now where it's like we know we're going to win. It's still just as serious because we care about the tradition that it has brought us. Every single person in the Pitt uniform, I believe, cares about that conference championship. The Pitt State Gorillas, they don't let up just because it's conference. So that kind of energy is what surrounds us. Even if you're not competing, our teammates bring that same energy to the meet. It's just as rowdy, whether we're in a tight battle with someone or just demolishing people.
Conference week is the peak week for like team building, team camaraderie, team spirit. I feel like conference week at Pitt specifically highlights just our whole team. The support during that week is unbeatable. It's unmatched.
Conference energy at Pitt State is very electric. If you thought DMR weekend conference or whatever energy was crazy, conference meet is insane, especially in my opinion for indoor track. I don't know if it's because like a smaller area or it's like it's all indoors, but like conference indoor is like probably the most insane that like the Pitt State energy is.
Conference week is not the biggest week because we got a bigger one after that, but it's obviously, one of the biggest weeks of the year. We want to go out there and show the conference that we're the best team in the nation. Energy is very high all week. Everyone's getting fired up, ready to go, and the energy is just awesome. Being able to race at conference in my first season here was almost a dream come true. You see all the Pitt State conference championships, and you want to be a part of that. So being able to hear that I've actually made the conference team was awesome.
The MIAA weekends have a special feeling. We got more athletes there, more fans, conference rivals, conference schools, pure dominance, trying to win by the most we can, win every event we can, be all over the podium. Conference energy here at Pitt State is second to none. It's really exciting. It's a big build-up throughout the whole week.
Conference at Pitt State is something that we hold in very high esteem. It's pretty hard to describe. Unlike nationals or unlike any other meet, the whole team is watching, but fewer people get those opportunities to be a part of it in a competition role. And so any race that you get, the importance of it is raised.
Conference week energy feels like a roller coaster, just going up and down. It's like, you see something on Strava or something that gets me fired up, and I'm like, all right, calm down, like breathe a little bit, like it's on Saturday, like you don't need to be worked up on Tuesday afternoon. Everyone's excited for it. Sprinters, jumpers, throwers, they're excited for it. We're excited for it. Coaches are excited. It's one of the best weekends ever. Inter-conference competitions like no other thing. Like our conference is real good, and a lot of people want to beat us, and we want to beat them. And a lot of good energy. It gets serious. It gets intense. Parents are like texting. Like I remember Dylan's mom texting me like, "You ready for conference week?" Because she knows what it means to me. I love conference week.
In recent years, the outlook for the team title has heavily leaned towards Pitt State winning both men and women by over 100 points.
It was pretty one-sided. We knew that even if we didn't perform how we needed to or how we wanted to, that the rest of the team was going to be able to take the title anyway.
Pitt State all the way. I mean, no other team really has too much of a chance once we get everyone going, so yeah.
The women and the men, we're going to take it all away. It wasn't a question.
For our women, I think we were looking really, really good on paper. And I think men as well. Pretty much we're going to crush it. So it's really exciting.
I think the team was like, we were going to win the conference indoor championship. We had so many bodies in like every event. I don't think we could probably have done anything and probably would have still won.
With the track team being heavy favorites on the form chart, as the distance program, we really have to decide and pick and choose what races we're going to do. We don't want to over-race, do too many before the national championship because those points are just as or more important. We don't want to maybe race too many of the same races that we've already ran earlier that year, but we also want to score the most distance points we can, and we also want to get as many gold medals as we can at Pitt State objectively as a team.
The role for the distance squad is finding these matchups against various runners in the conference and ultimately winning your matchup.
The outlook for conference for us is we wanted to spread out among events. Mason had his 754, Dylan had his 401, and me and Caden obviously bringing it in for the 8 guys, and we just knew like let's kind of like mix it up a bit. Like we obviously want to score the most distance points as possible and do our part in that, and obviously scoring points for the team is important too. So
we wanted to just get as much experience to kind of translate that to the national meet. So the biggest objective for the distance squad was just to get in and portray what would be our national meet. From the distance side as well, we wanted to get in and just win as many races as we can.
Yeah, objective was not to go crazy, be able to have people be ready for nationals, but also to compete and get points for the team where needed.
For the first time at my time here at Pitt State, I did not declare for the conference mile. The objective was to run the DMR in the 3K, help solidify gold for the DMR, and try to get a gold medal in the 3K. While giving Dylan the responsibility to win the mile, we also knew that helped our outlook for 2 weeks later in Indianapolis.
Leading into conference week, Mason and I were on a run. He had told me that it was going to be up to me to win the mile, that he was going to go all in on the 3K. That was exciting, but also very nerve-wracking at the same time. Having Mason in a lot of my races has been very helpful. He's someone that I'm next to during training, and just being able to race next to him, it almost calms me in a way. So when it comes to my schedule for the weekend, day one, I was part of the DMR. Since we already had our qualifier, our only goal was to win it. Day two, I was in the mile. And once again, since I already had my qualifier, the only thing that mattered to me was winning that event. And then I would end off with a 3K on day two as well. Ultimately, I just wanted to try and score points for the team.
yeah, so my race schedule was 800 prelim to a DMR leg that night, and then 800 final on Sunday. Yeah, so for the Open 8, one of those races where it's like time doesn't matter, and Ben told me leading up to that week, he's like, let's just forget about time. Like, let's just go race. Let's have fun racing, because that's when I perform my best, is when it's just a pure race. I'm a beat you mentality, and just throw time out the window. Like, just go race it, make the final, and go race hard on Sunday. And then for the DMR, it's just like, all right, like, let's just put a team together, and we could switch legs, who does what. We didn't know leading up, and we knew that we wanted to win as easy as possible on that DMR, just because we had a lot of big races coming up in that weekend, and we knew that we want to prioritize winning those races.
My race schedule going into conference was the 800 prelim, and then that night we were going to run the DMR. We weren't sure if I would run the 800 leg on the DMR or the 400 leg, but we were just going to let that figure itself out after the 800 prelim. And then obviously, you want to make the final when you're running the prelim, so yeah.
So going into the conference meet, I was in the DMR, was running the mile and the 3K. And the DMR was kind of a tricky one. We weren't putting together our A team, but we still wanted to do well. So we wanted to try and win it, but we also knew it was going to be hard. Northwest had a really strong 1200 leg. So personally, when I got the stick, if the gap wasn't too big, try and compete with Northwest. But objective for the mile though was to get the 3-time conference champ. Then when the 3K rolled around, I really wanted to get on the podium. That was an objective for me. I hadn't ran it since Boston, but I was still very confident in my fitness and just ability to do that.
My race schedule going into the conference meet at Northwest Missouri was I was running the 5K, the mile, and the 3K.
I ended up running the 800, Open 8, and the 800 in the DMR as well. Going into it, I really, really, really wanted to win the 800 because I knew that I could, and I knew what I was going into because of the Arkansas meet. Being able to race those girls, I was like, okay, I know what I can do, where I should be, and then win the DMR. So, yeah. The entries for the 8 for that conference race were not great. Because there were only 9 girls entered into the 800, basically all I had to do was beat one girl in the prelim to make the final. I honestly shouldn't have been as nervous as I was, but I feel like when it's just that easy, I feel like it made me more nervous. I was just like, okay, if something goes wrong, like, that would be terrible. So the goal was to just go out and feel out the race, go behind some girls, and then feel out a good rhythm, and then push towards the end and get a big cue, just basically make the final. The race ended up going out really, really slow, and I just took it. I knew that I felt good, and just all the way through was looking back and just won the prelim. It was just a weird feeling though to be in that position.
Yeah, so the conference entries were kind of surprising. I remember opening up the spreadsheet that Coach Ben sent us, and I was like, is there really only 11 guys in the 800? We're talking, I was like sending texts to Dylan, Mason, all the guys. I'm like, there's only 11 guys in this 800? I remember texting Caden, like, dude, I hope we draw the same heat, dude, and get some of these guys. And it's like, if you get third in the heat, and you're pretty much going to finals. I mean, I felt like either heat, anyone could get third and just go ahead and go to the final. I'm like, all right, like, just a matter of who gets what big Q, and pretty confident in my abilities that I can lock up third in whatever race it may be. If it's tactical, if it's fast, I feel like I'm obviously a lot better going into it than my seat time says. So
the conference entries for the 800 were very surprising. I think there was only about 11 dudes that were entered into it, and usually it is a lot more than that. So yeah, I was very surprised that only 3 people would not make the final.
Caden was like, let's go 1-2 this. Like, if it goes our way, we could go 1-2 this. And he's like, I kind of thought of it for a while, and I'm like, you know, that'd be pretty cool to do it. But, you know, you got 2 good guys from Northwest running the 8, and it's like, we'll see what we got. You know, anything can happen, but it's like kind of, I'll believe it when we're in it. So
I was in the first heat for the 800 prelim, which you kind of want to be in the second heat just so you know what time you have to run if you don't have a big queue. But the race plan was just go behind the kid from Northwest and sit in second the whole time, get a big queue, and hopefully Jordan would also get a big queue, or if not, run fast enough to make the final.
Yeah, so the prelim draw was pretty good. Me and Caden got the same heat, and let's just go McCluffy this thing, essentially, is what we said. And Riley Witt is in there, and, you know, he's going to be good. He's going to be ready to go. So we just knew, like, all right, like, let's kind of just get on the line and see how it goes. Like, we don't need to do anything crazy. We don't need to go super honest necessarily, and unless someone takes it, and then we have to go with. But we just knew that we had to be ready on the day just to get the job done. I was on the outside alley, and I was next to a Nebraska Kearney guy, and I knew just got off the break pretty clean, just slipped in right behind him. And after the initial start happened, went right around that Kearney guy because he started to slip off a slow pace.
The goal was just to put myself behind the Northwest kid, which I did, and then not let anyone pass you. And then me and Jordan just cruised it in down the home stretch with the kid from Northwest, and ended up getting all 3 big Qs. So
we went 56 to 55 for like a 151 high, which I'm like, I've been doing that all year, and that felt so easy. And I remember afterward, me and Caden finish up, we go 2-3, and I'm like, dude, that was good. Like, let's get ready for this DMR leg, because you're like, that's the only thing we got that night. And we're like, let's go get ready for that. Like, we just got through. Me and Caden felt pretty good, ready for day 2. Let's handle business on this DMR.
So the objective of doing the 5K at conference was to get a national qualifier in the 5K. I really didn't think the 3K was going to hold up. Yeah, that was kind of the objective of the 5K, was to run under like 1640, just run 80s. I think I was feeling great. I don't know. I feel like, it's not like I never feel bad, but I just like, I feel like whenever I like remember how I think back to a race, I never like think about feeling bad, so maybe I just don't feel bad. I don't know, but I was very excited for the 5K. I just thought it was funny because like no one knew what I was doing. Like, I mean, everyone like seen my season, but like they didn't. All they saw for 5K was like a 17:25 or something. Like, my brother, he runs for Washburn. He always tries to like ask me what I'm doing, what my race plan is, and I just said, I guess we'll wait and see. Yeah. I don't really know. I think that's just kind of how I am as a runner. I just like to run fast. So, I don't know. I think I've always tried to like find my position in races, and I think just by default, I kind of go out fast. I don't really know. I feel like it's something I probably should work on, but I feel like it's just weird because I feel like I can go out fast, but then I'm like really good at like maintaining pace. And I feel like I can also kick. So like, I don't really know. It's not like intentional, but like it's just how I run. So the 5K indoor conference, I went out pretty fast. I was also just like by myself, like from the first like 100 meters, and I was like, okay. But thanks to the electric Pitt State people, I didn't even feel like I was by myself. Like, they were like hyping me up as if like this is like the national championship and I have like a million people with me.
Claire and I were outside warming up for the DMR while Paige's 5K was going on. We didn't have our phones, we weren't watching results or anything. We come back inside though, and we get to watch the last 2 laps and are just seeing her gap the entire field by almost 30 seconds, if not more. I mean, she's just ran away with this race. She's literally running for a national qualifier solo.
Again, watching someone crush a race and just have like the stamina to do what she does, it gets you so much more hype for what's to come and what you can possibly do in your race.
It was incredible to watch. And then to also see another fellow teammate, Lorna Ray, getting 3rd as a freshman. It was that energy of the 5K for both of them was awesome.
I mean, I was just chilling. Like, I think I was on pace for most of it. Ended up running under 1640, so that was what I was supposed to do. And apparently breaking the schoolwork, and no one tells me these things. It felt really good. Like, I just had I never won like an individual conference championship. Even though like going into it, like I knew I was gonna win just based off like the entries in the meet and just like I knew myself. But it was still like very like obviously an honor to win a conference championship. It was really cool.
The outlook of the DMR was very predictable. Northwest, one of their best 800 runners, wasn't doing the 800. She was going to be completely fresh for that DMR leg. They hadn't qualified yet, and we just knew they were putting together a fast team to try and qualify. For us, on the other hand, you know, we wanted Paige to do the 5K and 3K to try and win those events, so we weren't going to have her on the DMR. We just weren't putting together our A team on that day, but we still were like, anything could happen.
We knew that Northwest was trying to make a dream team, basically. We knew that they wanted to go out and try to get a good time. Northwest needed a time to get to nationals. Like, this was their chance to get that time. Knowing that, I think going into the DMR, obviously the objective was to win and kind of build off their energy as well.
Lydia had a great 1200 leg, but we also, that happened once. We weren't sure if she was going to put it together again, so we knew, you know, Marissa was going to have a tough race against her, but our biggest thing was like just try and not let the gap get too big.
Obviously, Marissa can stick with good girls, and she's a really good racer, so just having her know the distance between, hold her ground, and run an even time, we knew that we could still work off of that.
You know, the race kind of happens, and a big gap did form. You know, Marissa still ran hard and gave it a great shot, and then it just kind of stayed at that gap.
Again, our 400 runners are pretty accountable, and at that point, Maddie had been crushing it that season, so having her that leg, we also just needed someone that we could depend on and run a good time as well. I usually like chasing, but it did feel like there was a pretty large gap. On indoor, it's kind of weird because you can't really just see. If it's a pretty large gap, you can't just see right in front of you, like where they're at. I can see them, but it's also like when they go around the curve, like just being able to hold that momentum, like the 800 pace, and also chasing, it's just, it felt like it was really hard. I remember I went out in like 61, too. I went out pretty hard on that one because I was like, I'm gonna close the gap. I wish I could have held on better. I wish I could have been stronger. Because I went out so hard, I felt like I didn't have much of a kick. I was just kind of holding on for dear life. I wasn't completely disappointed, but I also knew I was capable of running a faster leg.
Claire ran a good 800 leg, and we just weren't making up any ground. As I was watching everyone go by, I was like, I still gotta try. Like, I still gotta try and close that gap, because who knows, like, when T-Bolt, the anchor, was getting the stick, she could fall off. And I need to be able to recover and go get the win for this. So that was part of my mindset, but another side of it was, okay, if the gap is too big and it's unlikely that I'm gonna catch her, I'm not gonna gas myself entirely and potentially jeopardize winning the conference title for the team tomorrow. So it was the balance of both of those, and I didn't make any decision until maybe a little over 800 in. Yeah, the gap was huge. I mean, for a while, I would turn onto a straightaway and I couldn't even really see her, like, or she was at the complete end of that straightaway. So I knew I was making up a little bit of ground because I'd start to see her a little sooner, but it was still so big that it was like, it like felt crazy that she had gotten away like that much. Coach Ben's motion of like, yeah, we're not gonna catch her, just based upon time that I was making up, that it probably wasn't gonna happen. So I didn't necessarily just quit and give up, but it was a little bit of a let up of like, let's just finish this and lock up second. Even though we weren't putting together our A team, it was still extremely special because I had spent the last 5 years with the girls that I got to run it with. So just getting on the podium, the three of us, was something that was super special for our friendship, and kind of something we probably never thought would happen when we came here 5 years ago.
It was pretty special to get to experience that with them. I think even though we knew we could get first, or we were capable of getting first, it was very exciting to be able to place second, especially with my best friends by my side. Very, very special.
We knew that Dylan and Mason would be the bookends of our DMR. Just between me and Caden was like, it doesn't matter which one, who runs what. It's probably about the same difficulty, and all out forward to possibly a slow 8 and just kind of let them catch me and then finish up.
We hadn't had the DMR lineup set quite yet till after the prelim. We wanted to make sure they both made the final. If one or the other made the final, we might do the opposite one on the DMR that night previous. We likely wouldn't have a 400 runner on there if they all qualified for the 400 final, which was highly likely.
It came down to how the 800 prelims went. Ultimately, who wanted to do what. There was the option between kind of jogging an 800 for a little bit and then matching the field and just running a hard 400.
The process deciding who was going to run the 2 middle legs of the DMR wasn't a huge, big thought process. Both of the legs we'd have to run were going to be about equal on our legs going into the final the next day.
Finishing that prelim, we're like, all right, like let's cool down, like post-race, getting ready for another race kind of thing. And it was like, Coach Ben was like, hey, like, you want to run the 8 or do you want to run the 4? And I'm like, I want to be on the 8 because I felt like that was my job, and Caden's going to get the job done in the 4. I knew that, and so
we kind of just made a quick decision, and we decided that Jordan would run the 8 and I would run the 4.
Northwest Missouri already had their national qualifier, and I believe they were sitting second in the nation at 9:37. So they had no intentions of running fast. They would race to win. We were ranked first place with 9:35 in the nation and qualified to nationals, so we had no intentions of running fast and would just race to win. Nebraska Kearney was a bubble team. They had not had a national qualifier yet, and we knew that they would likely be going for it as they held out a previous 800 national qualifier to run the leadoff leg on their DMR that night.
And we knew that Kearney, that they take pride in their DMR and qualifying every year. Ben came up with this master plan, and he was like, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, and it's going to be great, and we're going to win it. I believe it. And hearing the plan, I'm like, this is going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, it was super predictable about what everyone's going to do. 2 teams have already qualified, don't necessarily need to run their A team in a way. We knew that those guys are going to try to get in. We just slip in behind them and win as easy as possible is the goal. So the whole day leading up to the DMR, some of the Kearney guys come up and they're like talking to Dylan and Mason. They're like, you guys going for it?
Before the race, one of the Kearney guys walked up to me and he asked me, hey, like, I know you guys have a really good squad, but are you going for it? I told him something along the lines of whatever it takes. So we knew that they were going to try to make it at least a fairly honest race and try and get themselves a qualifier.
Multiple times, different guys on our team got asked if we were going for it or not, and we really had no reason to. I mean, we ran the second fastest time in Division II history. Earlier that year at our home meet at the Gorilla Classic, that's kind of when we're like, hey, we're going for it here. We still want to win, but we'll do the work to run a fast time because ultimately it's more important to make it to nationals. So if you miss out on that, we're not gonna take it and lead it here at conference, and we're trying to win 10 points for the team and ultimately save for our events the rest of the weekend.
We don't need to do anything crazy. We don't need to run a D2 record in conference, especially with all the races we had. Me and Caden in the 8 final, Dylan in the mile, Mason in the 3K. We had those big races, and we wanted to win those, and we wanted to take home some points for Pitt. And we knew that we could probably get the job done with the easiest effort possible. And just that warm-up, it was like, man, like it was super loose. Like we all, like me and Caden were like, oh, dude, we've been waiting for this for a long time. You know, just get out there, run, get those team points right away. Like that's the DMR final. So you don't have to wait for the next day for it, so we're excited for it.
With the 4.0 lows and the 150s from the season and the strong practices and the fast finishing reps and all the good stuff, we were extremely confident in Dylan being able to pass the stick off in first place at the conference championship.
Dylan, he's just a really trusty guy. Like any position he's in, he's going to make it work. He runs with grit. He's a good runner, and we know that the plan is going to tailor his running needs perfectly.
Yeah, my confidence in having Dylan, the leg before me, it's huge. When you have a guy like Dylan bringing the stick around, all the confidence in the world that he's going to put you in a good position.
Yeah, my race plan for the DMR was pretty simple. I was just supposed to sit with the field for around 800 meters. At that point, I could swing out and then start to pull away, try and get us a little bit of space so that way Caden wouldn't have to completely gut himself on the 400 and Jordan could have some time to take his 800 easier than others in the field would have to, basically jog.
Northwest switched up their lineup a little bit and moved their 800 guy to the leadoff leg. He's got really fast half-mile speed and good closing speed. The objective for Dylan being fresh was to put a gap on him the last 400.
It played out pretty much exactly how we wanted. Sat in on the field for a while, and then once I made my move, the rest of the field tried to match, but it was short-lived.
It was pretty fun just seeing Dylan run and seeing him give up the inside, and then Dylan just goes right past and just starts running real hard, and everyone's just trying to chase, and I'm like, nothing I haven't seen before. He did that Gorilla Classic. Dylan gets it sick. He's going to do a good job. So
Dylan blitzed it and ran 2:56 again.
With about 300 meters to go, he turned it on and never looked back, and so I knew I was going to get the stick in a good position. There's nothing too special about my race plan. The plan was just wherever you get the stick, hold position, and yeah, get the stick around to the next runner.
A cool thing about the DMR at conference is we were able to put a full distance squad together. Instead of having one of the 400 sprinters on it, we were able to have Caden Youthy on there, and it was really fun to have all 800 and mile guys on the distance medley.
Yeah, it was fun having Caden on the DMR because he's been running well. He's deserved it. He's obviously been, to that point, he's running really well and he's running better than me. So I felt like it was good for him to be on there and be a part of our all-distance DMR. And it was really special being a 8 guy to 8 guy, just a transfer that bought into the program. And he has a lot of grit and he loves Pitt State and you want to see the best for him. And so it was really special to see that he got to be a part of it.
I was pleased with my leg. I'm a distance runner, so anything faster than a 49, you really got to be trying to do that. So I think I ended up splitting 49.4, which got the job done perfectly and gave Jordan a little bit of leeway with his leg.
Caden got the stick in first place with probably a 2-second gap, 1 or 2 second gap, and he held the lead the whole time and ran a good split for us.
Yeah, so my race plan for the DMR leg was we're going to get in first, no doubt about it. My goal was to just run around for 200 meters and then once the pack caught up, just sit in second and then hand off in second. And that'll help Mason later because he's just trying to get the easiest job done, get the win, and get ready for the 3K the next day. And so we knew that getting in second, not having to front run it, was the best option for running it super easy. And so
Northwest Missouri had 3 guys make the 800 final, and Pitt State had 2. So the objective was to save some of Jordan's legs in the 800 for a better chance at winning the final the next day.
My job was, some would say it's Bush League. It's the easiest thing to do is just try to win it. Low effort. I mean, run for 600 meters, and I had pretty high goals going into that 8 final, and I knew that I'd rather have that than, have a good DMR split and us still win, but make Mason work harder or just run solo. The DMR leg was a lot of fun. The most fun I've had on a relay in a while because, I'm running 32-second 200 and everyone's flying by me and I just slip in second. And
you could say it was pretty conservative for the first 400. The rest of the field caught him within 200 meters. It was actually kind of funny. Everyone thought he was tanking the race and was struggling, but little did they know that was the plan all along, and it worked pretty damn good.
Everyone's yelling at me thinking I'm running slow because I can't double, and some people are screaming at me that I suck. Little do they know that's all part of the plan, and we're just trying to get the stick in second. It was really funny because the whole time I was pretty coherent. Like I could hear certain people say stuff, and a lot of the people saying stuff was people on the turf, not workout attire, race attire. And I thought it was pretty funny that people could scream some things at me that can't repeat on here, but it's funny that we just beat them in a prelim and they're talking now, but that's funny. Sorry. I'm getting kind of out of hand. But yeah, the 8-leg went great. It was just really fun. Just hearing everyone scream like I was some JV runner. But yeah, the race went well. I got to 400 and I was like, dude, this is so easy. I just want to scream past these guys because I'm giving him glory. He's running out in front. This Carney guy thinks he's Superman for 600 meters. If that's his 600 meters of glory, then that's what it is. So kind of just had to swallow the ego a little bit because I take pride in being better than a lot of runners, and helping Mason out get the easiest win possible is, I guess, what team players do. So kind of got boxed in by the Missouri Southern guy, and he kind of just took off. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to die for this spot. Like, I'm just going to go around you and get in second regardless. And so I remember kind of looking back over my right shoulder and seeing Washburn. I'm like, make sure I got a lane to go out to lane 2, and I just kind of squeeze out on the back stretch. I get kind of right up beside Nebraska Kearney's guy, match him in a way, and get the stick basically at the same time to Mason. He just kind of goes slow off the brake and slips in right on the rail, right behind Peyton Davis. And right after that is barbecue chicken. I remember finishing the race. I'm like, that was cool. And I remember I went to my bag, I grabbed a little beanie for some Bandits, and I remember jogging over, and I'm like, everyone's like, what was that? Like, because I split like 155 or whatever, and everyone's like, are you good? Like, are you hurt? I'm like, no, that was a plan all along. Ben drew it up on Monday. What the hell is Ben thinking, bro? Why would you who does that? I remember thinking like, man, I just looked really slow in front of a lot of people, but hey, they'll see in the final though tomorrow.
We knew Kearney was going for a fast time, so they would basically press at all portions of the race. Northwest had Grant Bradley on the anchor. This was our first matchup on the track of the season, and we knew that he would be the guy to beat on the anchor. With that, the plan was to sit behind Nebraska Kearney for a few laps and allow me to have a better kick and hold off Bradley for the win.
I knew we were taking the DMR home as soon as Mason Strader got the baton. I walked off the track. I was like, all right, Mason's going to run behind Peyton Davis for however long it takes, and we're going to take it home. And we knew that Grant Bradley was coming. I didn't think it was going to matter because he's going to have to make up ground because his team was behind, and we knew that Mason's just running, and we knew that once Bradley got up with Mason, that Mason's just going to bury him. Complete confidence in that dude that when he gets a stick, he's going to win it for us. Obviously, he has to stay on his feet and finish the race. Don't get DQ'd.
Yeah, once I saw Mason get the baton, I kind of knew that we were going to win it. And the feelings, just feelings I can't even explain. It feels very good when you have a guy like that anchoring your team and you know he's going to give it every single ounce. Blood, sweat, and tears into this program, and he will do that all the time.
We couldn't have planned it any better. I got the stick in second place just behind Nebraska Kearney, and there was a 10, 15, almost 20-meter gap to Northwest Missouri on the anchor leg. Peyton Davis took us out in a couple 60s to start the race, and I'd never felt so good in my life. I was in the best shape I'd ever been in. The energy was high. I was ready to win the race. I wanted to win the race. Even though Davis was in front of me, I knew Bradley was the one to beat who would be chasing. I knew if Davis took the pace long enough to start the race that I'd be able to hold off Bradley at the end. Multiple times in the race, I was looking over my shoulder, looking back to see how far Bradley was. That made some of the Northwest guys quite excited, as they thought for some reason he would have a chance at catching me. I'd never been called so many names in my life in 4 minutes. I truly believe that night the Northwest guys would rather Pitt State lose than Northwest win. As they're yelling at me, thinking I'm looking back scared at who's coming up, little did they know that was a compliment. I knew who we would have to beat to win, and I knew what Pitt State needed to do to get the gold medal and win 10 points.
Honestly, there weren't many nerves watching the anchor leg. Before the race, I was a little nervous, kind of shaky, just because I knew the importance of my role and that I would need to pull away if we wanted this to work out. Once I handed off the baton, I had enough faith in the team that I was walking around, I started taking off my spikes, and eventually I was like, oh, yeah, the race is going on still. So I look over, and Mason had a lap or two left, and I started making my way over towards the finish line, and it was really relaxed. I had no doubt in what he was capable of, and I knew he would bring it home for us. So the energy on the track was pretty crazy. The pit crew is always very supportive, and hearing them, the PSU chant especially, is always pretty electric during these races. But there were also plenty of other schools that were less enthusiastic to see us perform well. They were very verbal about that and what they were yelling to Mason. Yeah, there were a lot of schools that did not want to see us win, which made me smile because there's nothing they could do about it but just sit and watch.
The energy just during his leg was nuts. Our pit corner was really loud. We're real fired up. And Northwest, those guys are fired up and they're screaming, we're screaming. Why are you guys screaming? Like, yeah, like I get supporting your team, but like they're screaming at us and like, we're gonna beat you guys, it's cool.
Around 1200 in, Bradley caught up just as I'd expected. I'd saved enough and took the lead with just over 400 to go. I dropped the pace down from 62-ish down to 57, 58, and that was plenty to get away from him. For how loud and violent it was for a couple laps, the place got pretty quiet on that bell lap. Coming down the home stretch, I got pretty excited knowing that I just buried him and that he wouldn't have a chance at winning. Gave the crowd a few pumps up and kind of reached towards my ear to say, where's the noise now? I personally have no problem with the rivalry. I kind of like it, in fact. Both teams, Pitt versus Northwest, we both work really hard, we both race hard, and we both have really good athletes on the squad. So I have no problem with the back and forth chatter. I like the back and forth, I'm fine with it, and I like it even better when we win the race.
We just won the DMR. Does a little celebration. It gets everyone real fired up, and I have my beanie in my hand. I put that John on, start dancing a little bit, get it real excited, and I'm just like, with some bandits, bro. We win this thing in easiest effort possible, and everyone's mad about it. Like, that's how it is sometimes. You know, if you're that good, you can do what you want.
So after the race, the Pitt State squad, incredibly supportive, going nuts. Just so much excitement right at the end of that home stretch. So it was pretty cool that Mason could pretty much run right into them, and Jordan was there waiting. I just made my way over there, and there's no better feeling than being champs. Then other people kind of started talking, and they were saying, like, oh, that's Pitt State's A team, and that's how they won. Like, that wasn't that impressive. People were talking smack on Jordan, saying that was an honest race for him, when in reality it was nowhere near that. for the time being. They just had to, I guess, believe that he was a 155 guy. It almost felt like other teams were trying to convince themselves that we weren't as good as we were.
Yeah, so after the race, I was just talking to my parents, and they were like, yeah, like, we heard this, we heard that. Like, said you can't double. They said you're washed after one race. Keep that in the back of my mind when, it's time to race toe-to-toe. And a lot of the talk is a lot of people that are on the turf in regular day outfit, not racing. The guys racing have respect in a certain degree, and if you get beat straight up, you get beat straight up. And so it's a lot of chatter from guys that not racing in general. So I was like, can't race yet, bro. You're not in the meet. I can't do anything. So you talk all you want. I did my job. I did what was best for my team.
Day one at conference went really good for Pitt State. The sprinters did phenomenal. Our mid-distance did great and qualified. Our DMR went really well. Moving the page from day one to day two was all about winning championships. We had a shot at winning the 60, the 200, the 400, the 800, the mile, and the 3K all on day two.
After the first day, I was very pleased with how it turned out. I got the big Q in the prelim, and I didn't have to run anything crazy to make the final, so I felt like I still had a lot of legs left, and just running 1/400 doesn't really take anything out of your legs, and it was very nice to know going into day two I was already a conference champ. It was my first day in my AA at the conference meet.
Going to bed that night, I was like, we won the DMR, got the prelim done pretty easy. I'm like, all right, we're cooling, we're good. Big day, didn't overexert on the DMR, so we're good. We're ready for Championship Sunday, and we knew that it's going to be a good race. There's going to be a lot of good racings around the track, and we knew that 3K was going to be real hot.
The DMR went great. The 5K was not what we had wanted as a team. It's pretty tough to watch any other schools win an event just because of the competitive nature in me. It just doesn't sit well with me. And so going into day two, I knew that it was going to be my responsibility that when the mile came around, I have to win this. I've been trusted by my teammates. They all know that I'm capable of doing it. I know that I'm capable of doing it. So at that point, it was just a matter of if it's going to be an honest race or if we're going to go tactical.
Going into day two at conference, I was very excited. I feel like there's just this ongoing energy that we have at conference that allows us to keep pushing even though we're really tired. Although my body was really tired, I think mentally I was just ready to get back into it and race.
So after day one completed, I was happy. 5Ks went great. Our DMR was okay, We of course wanted to win, but getting second was good, and we've started off the weekend pretty solid.
On day two, Kate towed the line trying to defend her mile title for the third consecutive season. We take a lot of pride in the mile and the 1500 here at Pitt State. I think the mile is a perfect blend of strength and speed. Sometimes you got to be able to kick it in fast at the bell, and sometimes you got to be able to hold strong from the get-go and run a fast, strong pace throughout the whole thing.
When it's the third time you're trying to win it, it's a lot of pressure. It's just I was projected to win it, but it was still kind of anything can happen, and you want it so bad, but you also don't want to be overly confident in something. So yeah, honestly, my biggest competition was my very own teammate. So it was also I'm going to be very happy for her if she wins it. But of course, with it being a potential third time, when I was wanting to do that just for my career. Aside from winning it, I remember talking to Coach Ben a little bit about facility record, meet record, and just kind of be this could be a possibility today. But also knowing, right now we're banking on declarations to try and get into this meet, hoping people don't declare. And, maybe we need to kind of focus on doing it solo again, but trying to qualify. And so I went out hard to attempt it.
Then people were surprised when they saw me warming up. They were just like, "What? Why is she in the mile?" I was just chilling. I felt no pressure in the world. Maybe I should feel more pressure with running. I just don't. My dad was like, "Oh, Pete, you excited?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not? Only 5 laps this time."
Getting into that race, I was a little surprised on the gap that I had put on my competitors, only because, we knew Paige was going to be great competition. And then, we weren't forgetting about T-Bolt. It was her home track. It was her last year. We thought, she could come out here and just pop a great race off. And so it was kind of a moment of okay, I guess this is going to go like all my mile races have felt all year round, of just getting out hard and kind of being on my own. And so I was a little surprised, but it wasn't enough to shock me into be like, what am I doing?
Kate took it out, and I went with a guy just got right behind her and was with her for a little bit, and then she just started to go, and I was like, okay, bye, Kate. And then the rest of the field caught me, and then with 300 to go, I wasn't settling, but I was just okay, maybe I could still podium.
So during the race, I knew I had locked it up when, I'm starting to hear less footsteps behind me. The cheering from the infield I can kind of tell where people are at, and it gave me a pretty good idea of where others were, and as well as the announcer, just when they talk about positioning and paces and what people are running, and I kind of get the sense of, where I'm at in the race and if I'm going to lock it up or not, or what's happening.
Well, I remember with 200 to go, Coach Ben was like, just kick, you can get second. I was like, okay. And then I did, so yeah, interesting tactics.
I kind of had my blinders on of get to that line and, accomplish this big goal that you've had ever since you won your first one. I just remember crossing the line, and then the blinders kind of go off, and I barely turned because Paige almost tackles me because she came up behind me. She just got second, and I had absolutely no idea. I mean, I remember the announcers talking about T-Bolt being in second, and I think someone else in third. I don't know what place Paige was even in mid-race, but I had no idea that she moved into second. And once I watched the race and saw her kick, it was like, oh my goodness, that's our 1200 leg. It was awesome.
I don't know how I always have a kick. I think it's just something I've been blessed with. I don't know. I think I just have a gear change, just in all my years of running on the track in circles. I don't know. I actually don't know how I have a kick because I feel like I'm not that fast, but then suddenly I can run way faster than I think I can.
I didn't improve my mark, but it was still, we need to at least try and get out there and get a faster time. But with that, getting out hard, I was able to get the facility record and the meet record, so that was something special that I'll walk away with.
Watching Kate cross the line in first for the third year in a row and Paige getting runner-up, that was a perfect start for Dylan to see that and be like, yep, Pitt State wins the mile at conference. At the conference championships, we usually have a good contingent of Pitt State fans, other student athletes who may not be in the meet. They might be in the meet but are done with their events. But they crowd up around the finish line usually, and it's known as the corner around here. And there's nothing better than running races and hearing each time you get to that corner, hearing the PSU chants and hearing them yell and going crazy and all that good stuff. It's actually become kind of a symbol of Pitt State distance running is the PSU chant. I'm sure people are sick and tired of hearing that in the conference. While it's fun during the race, nothing matches crossing the finish line and going right to the swarm of Pitt State gorillas, hooting and hollering and cheering for the performance. It's one of the best feelings in the sport.
The corner was crazy at indoor conference, especially once obviously Pitt was doing good in all their events, and it was just insane. And it was so loud, and I actually really wanted to be a part of it, but I couldn't, and literally until the 4x4s at the end because I had to stay locked with my word searches. But I know at one point someone called it the gorilla enclosure, so now it's just all I think of at conference meets is I just think of the gorilla enclosure.
So not having Mason in a championship race was a little bit tricky. He's someone that I key off of and kind of just watch what moves he makes and oftentimes try to match it. And so not having him in the mile, it was a change of pace. I also had a lot of confidence in myself and what I was capable of.
This was the first time he'd have to go for the win by himself, and I knew that he'd have a great shot at it. And his kick is so good that if he was near anyone on the Bell lap, he would have a great shot at winning the race.
I was pretty confident that he's going to do it. He's been talking about it all week, how bad he wants to win that indoor mile. And when he says he wants to do something, he's going to do everything in his power to do it. And there's no doubt in my mind that when it comes down to it, whether it's fast or tactical, he's going to have it.
I was really hoping for a more tactical race. I knew that if things were honest, it would be okay, and I still think that I could have won it. But with how things went at Arkansas and just knowing that Riley Witt wasn't that far behind me, it didn't make sense for me to make things honest. I was in no hurry to try and get to the front of the race. Yeah, ultimately things went tactical. There was a lot of shuffling around, a little bit of being boxed in. I just kind of stayed calm, and knew that when my moment came, like I would have to spring.
Well, I had a ton of confidence in him winning the race. The middle to later part of the race was not going so well. Some poor positioning, kind of caught inside. I was starting to kind of second guess. Northwest Missouri had 2 guys up front on their home track really wanting to win. They were running great, and I was starting to be like, come on, Dylan, we need to make it happen. Like, you got 40 seconds left. Let's see what you got. And he is very patient and reserved. I mean, he's run so many miles in 1500s. That's what you expect from a guy like that.
Yeah, during the last lap, around 200 to go, I was getting a little nervous, but I knew that it was going to be between Riley and I, and that the rest of the field, while still very good runners, I just didn't think that they would save what they needed to save for that last 100. And they were trying to juice it too early, trying to pull away too early. I felt perfectly calm. I knew at that point that I was going to win it.
As soon as the door opened up, he found his way out and just obliterated him on the home stretch. Forming at least a second or over a second gap in the last 60 meters is pretty impressive in a mile race, and that's exactly what he did and showed that he was the best miler that day.
When he found his daylight and he made his move, it was steamroll, like train full steam ahead. He's going to win this thing. He's pumping his arms, finds a way every single time, and when he gets his shot to make it work and he gets the opportunity to make it work, he's going to make it work.
So at the conclusion of my race, getting ready to watch the men, I was very excited for Dylan. Yeah, he's like a brother to me. We've just shared so much just between conversations every day, but also just putting in the work together, traveling together. There's just been so many different things where I've been able to build such a strong relationship with him. And so just to be able to watch him come away with that victory, literally to the line, it was awesome to watch. And yeah, I couldn't have been happier for him.
Was able to run into the crowd again. They were all going nuts. First time being a mile conference champ. That's still my alarm from indoor. I've still got it set just as that reminder of what it takes to be great and the sacrifices that you have to be willing to make. It's gotten me in trouble a couple times in team meetings at conference and national meets. I think that championships go beyond the season you're in, and it's that everyday decision. Anyway, the mile, it was made in the last 100 meters, and just having that patience and that experience in championship races. And Riley Witt is an incredible 800 runner. Trusting my kick against his could be seen as risky, but I knew what I was capable of.
The 800 final, knowing that it was just me and the 2 other girls, Marie and Lexi, I feel like I was like excited because I felt like I could really do something, and I knew that I was capable of holding on. Again, though, I was a little disappointed in this race because I felt like I was very much in my head and putting a lot of pressure on myself I was thinking more about time and placement rather than being in the race and like competing and having fun. So ended up getting gapped by the 2 leaders who I was supposed to go out with. And once you get gapped, it's a mind game because you can either like really push yourself to get back in there, or you're gapped and it's just like a weird gap. And I feel like I got gapped and I wasn't able to just snap back, and I didn't really have a great kick, so a little disappointing. It was just such a weird spot for me because I had never been at that point where I was like good enough to like podium, and it still wasn't like good enough. It was disappointing, but it was also something that I had really never experienced before, so it was like very new emotions.
After the mile, I walked up to Jordan and Caden. I told them, Riley Witt, he's cooked, he's done. I was telling them they need to go beat Maxime Turan. He's going to be the runner to beat.
Yeah, Dylan telling us Witt is tired is wrong. I mean, that guy, we pull out the building, he's like sprinting around the parking lot, and I'm like, it's going to be a good race now. So the one to beat in the 800 final was definitely Max from Northwest Missouri. Amongst ourselves, that has been a guy that I've wanted to get my head-to-head with for about a year and a half, basically, and just haven't got that head-to-head yet. Would have gotten it outdoor if he made the final. That's the pass that we're in right now. Me and Kim are like, all right, like, let's go capitalize on this. Like, let's go beat Max. All this talk amongst ourselves, like, it doesn't mean anything unless you go and do it. All these guys at Pitt know how bad I want to beat him, and to finally, get that opportunity. My blood was pumping. I'm not nervous. It's pure adrenaline. I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this. I'm ready to beat him. Those Northwest guys are going to run good. I just didn't know how well Riley Witt's going to come back from the mile, and I just knew that anyone could have a day, you know. Caden could have a day, anyone could have a day. And losing to either one of those guys is definitely going to hurt more than losing to Caden, because if I'm going to lose to anyone, I'm going to lose to Caden, because that's Pitt, that's teammate, that's my brother. I was pretty confident that I could at least get fourth. You know, I necessarily wouldn't be happy with fourth. We're trying to go for gold. Let's just maximize like the opportunity to try to win. So Max from Northwest Missouri, he's probably going to front run it. And so I just knew that when it comes down to it, like I'm going to have a little bit more on that home stretch. And that was the whole goal, is to have a good finish and race to win that thing. So
Max from Northwest, he ran 148 in December, so we knew that he was going to be fit and ready to go. Race plan going into that was go sit on him and try to go for the win. Other than the two guys from Northwest, there really wasn't anyone to worry about. Gun went off, put myself perfect position right next to Max from Northwest through 500 meters or so. I think we came through 400, like 54, 55-ish, nothing crazy.
We're not really running super fast. Yeah, off the break, Max is in front, Caden's in second, and I just slip in right behind Caden. And I just get in line and run for about 400 meters, and then a gap starts to form. And I remember telling myself, like, oh, like, don't let that gap form, don't let that gap form. And then right at 500 meters, Charlie Kinslow comes up on my inside and gets in third. And I'm just like, I can't lose to this guy. This guy is, granted, he's fresh. This is his mission for this whole meet, is to get on the podium. And I'm like, all right, like, I'm not going to lose to this guy. Like
300 to go. There's the corner with all the Pitt State crew, and they're just screaming their heads off. And so with 300 to go, tried to turn it on.
I remember I made that decision to start really pressing on the back stretch, and I'm like, all right, like, you're going to make a move here, and you're going to die with this move, and whatever you have left is whatever you have left. So I remember telling myself, like, all right, go get up with Caden and Max on that curve towards the finish line. I remember Mason screaming, have something. And then by that end of the curve, I'm with them, and I'm going past Max.
About 80 to go, I ended up taking the lead, and which I thought I had it won.
And I'm like, all right, like, it's just me and Caden. I just couldn't see Max on my left. So I'm just sprinting down this home stretch. I'm like, Max is gone. We're beating Max. He's done. We're going to win this thing. And then
until about 15 meters left, and the wheels kind of fell off and ended up getting snapped at the line from the other guy from Northwest.
Riley Witt on our right just comes flying out of nowhere. Just gets the win. And it's like, man, like, it's tough because it's real close and ran a great race. But it's like, man, like, what could have been, you know, like me and Caden talking about going 1-2, like that was just that close. And to have it sniped it hurt, but it's like, you know, that was probably the best competitive effort I've had that season, other than the DMR at Grow Classic. And so I was pretty happy with it, even though we didn't get gold. But I was just happy that I was able to tap into that competitive side of me and really race and get up to a group and make a move. So
once I was able to recoup and look up at the board and see that I got second, I was bummed that I didn't get the win. But going into that race, I was not expecting to even podium, so it was a great feeling, and it was even a better feeling when I looked up at the board and saw Jordan finish right behind me in third place. So we put two gorillas on the podium, so that was a really cool thing about it.
The 800 final lived up to the hype. It was a race where so many of the top guys gave their all-out effort. And oddly enough, the one that won it was the only one that wasn't fresh on the day for it. Caden and Jordan finished second and third and got two Pitt State gorillas on the podium and scored a bunch of points, and it was a good, honest, solid race. They both had a shot at winning it, and they just missed it. They ran good tactical races, strong finishes, good starts. I think they did everything they could, and it was just a really good 800 race all the way through.
Going into my third race on the weekend, the goal was to get on the podium, get as many as we can on the podium, with it being, you know, me, Paige, and Marissa.
I don't think I actually felt that good, but I was just like gaslighting myself into thinking I felt good, because like I was definitely tired. But I remember I did my warm-up with my brother for some reason. He's like, do you need me to run with you? I was like, sure. And I ran like half a mile, and I was like, oh boy. How are we going to do this? Just like took it out, and then like, I definitely didn't realize the whole field was like still with me with like a couple laps to go. Like I did not know that. No one was telling me, it was so loud. And so the only person I ever saw like for real was like Lydia. I think she passed me with like, I don't know, like a lap or two somewhere. And then I was just like, I can't pass the gorilla enclosure and be in second place. I'm not gonna like that. And so I just gave it everything I had for 300 meters. It's just like 2,700 meter jog. 300-meter race. And I was very surprised. I was like, this girl, I know. I see her race case trainer in the 800. I know how fast she is. I was scared, but I don't know how I kicked her that day, but I did.
Yeah, it didn't go as I wanted it to. I remember just going lactic so early, and it was honestly very miserable. Like, I was like, this is not going how I wanted it to, but still another opportunity to race in the jersey, so.
So watching the 3K was really fun, especially watching Paige crush a race again. Like, it's very uplifting to the team to see that.
So the 3K was going to be a hot event. The top end of the 3K was the fastest it has ever been in the MIAA. There was 4 guys with PRs of 7:55 or faster that were going to toe the line. Ryan Riddle from Missouri Southern didn't have his 3K qualifier yet on the season. He opted not to run the 5K, DMR, or the mile at conference, so we knew that he was likely going to make it a pretty hot 3K, which he had done in the past, and we know that that's a technique he uses in his racing. Grant Bradley had ran 7:53 on his home track earlier that season, which would be the fastest MIAA 3K ever ran. I'd ran 7:54 at Boston, and Andrew Atkins had ran 7:55 on his home track as well.
Ben and I had talked about the options between running it and not. I had done my job in the mile and the DMR. There wasn't a necessity to run it. The team points were locked up. We knew we had won. Something that we always preach is the idea that if you get the opportunity to race at a conference meet, you have to take it, no matter what. It's just too big of an opportunity that so many other runners on the team wish that they could have. I just couldn't pass it up. I had to go put myself out there just for the opportunity to score, because that's what I've been given. Initially, when the race got out,
It went Riddle in front, Bradley in second. I was in third for the middle portion of the race.
I went pretty far up to the front, got shoulder to shoulder with Mason. I told myself, like, all right, you're not dropping off of this until a bunch of the other top guys go around you, just because I wanted to make them work just a little bit more. Eventually, some of the Northwest guys went around me, and at that point, I was like, okay, my job's done up here. And so I fell in line and try and secure points. More people went around me, more people went around me. It was pretty brutal. It really hurt.
Middle to late race, Riddle started falling off pace and kind of fell off. Bradley and I both went by him. 3 laps to go. It was Bradley and I, stride for stride. 2 laps to go, stride for stride. Nothing had changed. And that place was loud. Every time we'd go across the finish line and start running that curve, that building, everyone on that curve was just screaming. It was loud, and we were showing down. It was a good race. We were running on record pace. We were running fast. We both wanted to win. Pitt State got the better the night before on Northwest track, so you best believe they wanted to get that back. And it was a battle. Made it to the bell. It was still just him and I. Got to the backstretch, tried to make a move. Didn't have it. He matched it, kept the lead down the backstretch, and got to the home stretch and took it away and won. And similar to I did the night before, he had a little celebration at the line. He earned it. He deserved it. It was a great race. He's a phenomenal distance runner, and he won the 3K conference title.
Yeah, so the finish of that 3K it sucked to watch. I mean, seeing your teammate get second, yeah, it's a good race, but you want to see your teammate win. I knew after that is going to start a lot of talk. Sure enough, a lot of talk started. A lot of guys, once again, on the turf, not doing anything this championship, just talking their minds off. A lot of screaming during the race, not to mention. And
there was a big clash between Northwest fans and our fans, and talking a lot of smack to each other, parents versus students. It wasn't the greatest display of sportsmanship, probably by either side. When I crossed the line, it was like I didn't know what was going on. I was in the hurt locker. Yeah, it was kind of a last jab at us for the meet, and I guess that's what they got on us.
Energy in the corner, what we called our corner, was crazy. It upset so many people at that meet. I mean, we pretty much made that our home track for the weekend. And I mean, there was banter between Northwest parents and our group over there. Thank goodness I'm a Pitt State athlete. Like, I would hate to be a part of any other team and in that corner be there, because our energy is solely off of supporting each other, and that's what makes it so special. And honestly, I feel like that's what makes people hate us, is we have such great energy, team energy, that it just elevates us above everyone else.
So when we finished the 3K, you would maybe forget that Pitt State was up by about 115 points in the conference meet. Northwest scored 4 out of 8 scores in the 3K, so they ran a great race and they were excited about it. Props to them, they ran great. We know they're good runners, good racers. We respect all that, but I mean, we don't really like them. You know, it's pretty heated when you have parents down on the infield talking crap to a bunch of college kids. It's kind of comical thinking that it gets so intense that even the parents make their way to the infield and think that they got to get involved in the chatter. At some point, do the parents really need to get involved with the back and forth with the athletes? Probably not.
I had no idea what the high point score was. Again, oblivious at previous conference meets. I knew I scored a lot of points. Like, at that point, I was like, okay, I just scored like 28 points. Like, I was paying attention to the rest of the meet, but like, I have a lot of really good teammates who like can jump far and like also hurdle and pole vault and all this stuff. Like, I don't know, I had no gauge for like what that meant. But then like somebody was like, Paige, like they're gonna need you at the awards, and I was like, what did I do? Like, I've already had my 3 award ceremonies. Yeah, I'd say like of all the transformations, in my opinion, indoor conference is the most transformative. I remember like my freshman year at Washburn, I literally like ran like a 2:30 or something in the 800 leg of the DMR. I don't know why I was on that. And so it's kind of interesting to like think about all that and like how far I came in like a year.
Having her be the high point scorer and actually get like an award for it and all this stuff, like it was shocking because it was a complete turnaround or just a complete leap of growth that she had.
As a whole, our conference meet was the best conference meet the distance squad had ever put together. From having a female be the point scorer of the meet and her being on our distance team, to have Paige do that was incredible. And that honestly just kind of says it all about how our distance team did. The fact that we could do that, I was so pleased with the performance. And I really think that it all just goes back to our team culture. I mean, that led us to be able to do the things that we did as a whole, not just on the women's side, men's side too. Just the culture that we had and the buy-in from several different people is why the meet went the way it did.
As a whole, I feel like it was a small step forward for me and a big learning moment for me as well. Like, I feel like I learned a lot about championship racing and how to handle like pressure on myself. But as a whole, I felt like it was a really good step forward for our girls team. I feel like we gained a lot of confidence within each other, and then also for the upcoming season, we knew they were going to do something even more special, just building momentum.
I thought that the indoor conference weekend went really well for like distance and the whole team. Everyone seemed like relatively happy with like how they did. It seemed like very positive, and obviously both the teams won the team title, so everyone's always really happy after that. Yeah, I'd say the indoor conference it just kept the ball rolling, so it seemed like everyone was still high on vibes going into the next meet.
My last conference indoor meet was a great one. The team won by 1,000,000 points again. That's always fun. The distance team had some great racing. For me personally, I really wanted to win the 3K. I thought whoever walked off the track with the 3K gold was one of the best runners in the conference based on how strong the heat was. Came up just short of that, but it was still a good race. Second time getting under 8 minutes in the 3K, and we got the accomplishments we wanted from conference, but it also set us up really hungry and ready to go for the title at the national championship in Indianapolis.
My thoughts on the conference meet for myself was great. I mean, you can't be mad when you're leaving the conference meet with a conference championship medal and a conference runner-up medal. Being able to sweep it, men's and women's, was awesome, and that's what Pitt State does. You know, we go out there, we show them what we do, and we win shit.
The conference meet for the distance squad was a good execution. All of us went in with specific plans, and we executed them very well. Sometimes it didn't quite work out how we wanted it to, but more often than not, everything went according to plan. It was a good confidence boost of knowing that we're able to execute the mission that we're given, being able to do it and do it well, and seeing the results from that.
Yeah, so the conference championship went great. Swept it, obviously, and we felt like we had a pretty good meet, and felt like I had one of the better meets of the year, and I felt like I finally had that confidence going into possibly a nationals. This is everything you wanted since January 1st, and this is what you wake up early for. This is why you double at 6 a.m. This is why you do all the extra little things on Wednesday. I'm not going to let myself down if I get that opportunity, and all opportunity is all I need, so